All right, welcome back to the Joe Cozzo Show. Today's show, of course, is always brought to you and sponsored by MyPillow.com. There's some new offers I just want to read to you here, and this is again from MyPillow.com. Slippers, 50% off. It's the middle of winter. How can you not want to get a great deal? And all these percentages off, you have to use promo code TJCS. There's overstock items that have a huge discount right now. Sheets are right now 60% off as low as $39.99. And here's the best part of the offer that is going on at MyPillow.com. Mike Lindell, the best, has just announced that all people of all ages who use the promo code TJCS will get one of his books for free, and that is What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. Let me tell you, that is some title. From Crack Addict to CEO, free with any purchase using the promo code TJCS. Again, so go to MyPillow.com and type in promo code TJCS. Also sponsoring today's show, as you can see, I'm wearing a brand new shirt. It is from the Way Academy. This is a dear friend of mine. He is a high school friend. He is now residing down in Florida, and he started the Way Academy. He's a pastor. He's a doctor, Dr. Charles Williams. This is their mission statement: inspiring educational growth for all students by guiding them to Jesus. Everybody loves Jesus. In a spiritually, academically, and athletically advanced environment. And of course, you can go and help out this cause, this great cause, at thewayacademy.net. Now, let me introduce you. We have our next guest. His name is Anthony DiPaolo. He has written this thick, huge book, The Dragonstorm Gates. That is the edition number 1. This is like a trilogy type book. Anthony DiPaolo, I met. My girlfriend and I wanted to get drunk, so we went to this fair in Farmingdale. We were walking down the street of the fair, and there was this stand, and there was this man, Anthony DiPaolo, selling a ton of these books. I said, hey, listen, I would love to have you come on the show. And he said, I would love to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce to you Anthony DiPaolo. All right, welcome back to the Joe Cozzo Show. We have lots to talk about. I got something going. I got something cooking here. This is the big leagues. It's New York.
I said I was in the worst neighborhood, man. I said I had a near-death experience.
Crazy? Robert, if you've been through what I've been through in the past month, you'd be crazy too.
All right, Anthony DiPaolo finally got you in studio here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so for people that don't know who you are, give us a little brief bio about yourself.
I'm an attorney from Long Island, and I practice criminal and family law and all that good stuff. But my real job, I'd like to say, is a writer. And after 13 years of midnight laboring, I put out my first novel in August.
Yeah, and that novel here is The Dragonstorm. We'll get into that in a few. And let me tell you something, this is a heavy book.
Yep.
This is something else.
If you don't like the book, it's good to keep on your night table for burglars. That's what I tell people.
That's what you tell people?
Yes.
So what happened? So you're a lifelong resident of Long Island?
Yes, I grew up in Lake Grove, went to Sachem, played ball in Sachem.
A lot of white privilege over there.
Yeah, sure, whatever. This is the 70s, man.
Yeah, I know.
And I actually, when I got out of high school, I opened up some record stores in Suffolk County, in St. James and Comac. It was called Paradise Sound.
Paradise Sound?
Yes.
You own that? I think
Yeah.
because I used to DJ.
Yeah.
So what made you get into that?
I've been a metal singer and all that, into all that kind of rock and roll and everything.
I don't want to say I was a DJ. I don't want to lie.
Yes.
I tried being a DJ.
You tried being a DJ.
I tried. That's really, I shouldn't have said it like that. But how did you get into that? Like, how's setting up a record store? Do you have to know people to get wholesale records to come in and then sell it for a profit and all of that?
Yeah, pretty much what we did was, I had worked at the Music Den, which is in, I think, Port Jeff, for about a year. And I just followed along with everything that the guy that owned that shop. These were the record shop times, when there were small stores.
What year are we talking?
That was 80. I opened up in 88, so it was 88 to 91. So I worked there when I was in high school in 87, and then after getting the jive on it, how everything runs, I hooked up with the distributors, and I opened up the first store in St. James. And, we did CDs and tapes, but I also worked with a company in Hollis, Queens called Import Records. I think it's Important Records. And they brought in a lot of the import vinyl and stuff that you could still get. And it was a lot of collectible things, like, from the rock bands and the metal bands and some of the new age bands. And it was like a special niche that we had with that store. It was a lot. It was fun for, an 18, 19-year-old. You have your own record stores, you're doing the thing. But it was, 70, 80 hours a week and, $100.
Were you selling DJ equipment too, like the Techniques?
No. Just T-shirts,
tapes, CDs,
tapes,
and vinyl.
And the import stuff, yeah.
Okay. Were you selling like old school vinyl too? Because for the DJs that would come in there and want to buy it? Or was it just more like, it sounds like more like a... I'm not saying this in a bad way, but more like a mom and pop type. What's the store that I'm looking for? The Sam Goody.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
the old Sam Goodies.
Old Sam Goody, something like that, right?
Yes.
So, did you when you because you're doing it in '88, right? And then right there, the tapes, CDs is still they're coming into the scene.
Sure.
Still, things were tape recorded. You listen to the radio.
Yep.
Make sure you get that song. Probably, you got to do it for a while just to get, so hopefully you get it. But you probably never imagined that store and that business had such a life, limit expectancy, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You don't even realize it then that kind of store is going to be out the door within,
Absolutely.
What is it, 10 years?
Yep.
I mean, what was going on? Were you ever nervous about that while you were owning this store? Because I think, what was it, Napster? I don't know what year.
Napster was a little bit after that. So 'cause there wasn't that much. There was really, when I had the stores, there was really nothing digital.
Nothing yet.
The big break for me was when by the Smith Haven Mall, I think Tower Records. I think it was Tower Records opened, and that was it. Everything I couldn't keep up with the pricing and stuff, and it was like I said, it was too much. I was putting in too many hours, and it just wasn't getting enough out of it.
So here you are, right? You got this Paradise Records. Great name, by the way.
Thank you.
Right? So you got Paradise Records, and next thing you know, everything's going smooth. You're working hard. You're doing whatever. Maybe you're making some money in your pocket. You're young, and you think, this is great. I'm an entrepreneur, and there's other things I'll be able to do. And then all of a sudden, you wake up one day, and you realize, or someone tells you, or you find out some way, that a big conglomerate like Tower Records is going to now be basically in the same location as you and wipe you out.
Correct.
Tell me about that feeling. Tell me about the day that you figured that out, and what were you going through?
Pretty much it was a day where you realize that all that, no matter how much work you were going to put in as an independent retailer, you would never, ever be able to keep up with. And even your loyal customers who had been coming to you for years, not years, but 2 or 3 years at that point, it comes down to the dollar. And if I'm selling a CD for $16.99 and they're selling a CD for $10.99, it's there's how much loyalty do you really expect from most of the people who were clients were kids, so they can get 2 for the price of 1 if they go there at some point. It just,
Were you depressed? Were you like moody? Would you go into work and now the employees know that Tower Records is going to be opening up and people are starting to think that the writing's on the wall? Were you nervous about that?
Yeah, I'm at heart an optimist. So it probably was almost like an overnight type of realization where I just was trying to just ignore it and continue. And then it really was practically an overnight thing where I just said, especially in St. James, I said to the landlord that I wasn't going to be continuing. And I probably closed down and liquidated everything in a weekend.
Wait, so Tower Records comes up, and in a week, basically, you're shut down.
Right within a month of them opening. Like I said, I was trying to just see how it was going to ride out
and everything. But did you notice it right away with the sales and people coming in and traffic?
Pretty quick, because there was a lot of promotional things going on at Tower at that time. I think it was Tower. I don't want to misspeak, but I think it was Tower. There was a lot of promotions and things going on there that was just drawing away like our weekend clientele and stuff like that. So it definitely it had an impact pretty quick. But like I said, from an optimistic view, I thought it would level out and loyal customers would return and such and such. But it really did almost impact sales very quickly. So it really was, like I said, an overnight kind of decision.
How long did you have the store for up to that point?
I think it was about it was almost 3 years.
So 3 years.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna have to shut this down. I mean, you gotta start life all over again, right? Or something new has to come out.
At that same exact time. So everything was liquidated over the weekend and shut down. And on Monday morning, I went to Suffolk Community College and enrolled in summer classes.
So you went from this hot shot, 18, 19, 20, whatever year old kid,
Yep.
right? You got the girls coming in, you got people coming in. You know, when you go out, you get to say, "Yeah, I own Paradise Records." Now, you know, whatever. I'm the owner. Yeah, this, that. To going down to Suffolk Community College and enrolling in summer classes.
Yes, sir.
How did that feel?
I mean, it was a mixed feeling. I think that like I said, the return I was getting from the work wasn't great, and I didn't know how far it could really go. So I think it was almost like the impetus to make me make the change that needed to be made. So in that sense, I didn't feel like necessarily it was the worst thing in the world. It was exciting to start something new. I mean, you know, we all like to start something new, a new project, new ideas. And I went from being, I mean, I was a good student in high school when I was there, but it wasn't a focal point of going to high school, was studies. And I had decided that when I was going to school and I was paying for school, because any money that had been saved to me for college was used to open the record stores, I decided that I was really going to be the best that I could be.
How was that conversation with your parents? Oh, thanks for saving the money.
No, it really wasn't a parent conversation.
It wasn't?
Yeah, I was kind of on my own at that point.
So that was that.
Yeah.
And, you know, but the writing was on the wall anyway. So it was almost like a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
Because, again, with the digitalization of music,
right,
you were done anyway.
Done,
and that was done. Because next thing you know, Tower Records, I remember the Tower Records. I'm originally from North Babylon.
Okay.
So I'd go to the Tower Records in Massapequa over there. And then next thing you know, it was like that, gone. Right. And that whole scene, that whole going there, it's synonymous with Blockbuster, right? You would go to Blockbuster, you'd walk around, you look around, you look at the videos, you take the thing in hand just so you have it, because you don't know if you want it, but you can't.
Right.
If you don't take it, it might be gone by you come back around. So you got like 3 or 4 in your hand, and it was that experience of Blockbuster, and it was that experience of going to the record store.
Absolutely.
Right? You may go there for one reason, to get one song or whatever it is that you want, Guns N' Roses or whatever album or cassette single that you want.
Singles.
Yeah. And then the next thing you know, you walk out with 3 or 4 that you didn't even think of because you're browsing, and it's like it's a whole experience, which is gone.
It's gone. Yeah, and I'm a music guy, so when people came in, that was one of the things that they loved, is I could talk about all different types of music, and all the history and the trivia and the of all the different bands, and the relationship between the different artists and all those type of things. I knew all that stuff, so that kind of made for really good sales. People would come in, and if they were friendly or if they were into music, you could definitely, like you said, get them to walk out with more than they expected to.
What was your, in that time frame, when you're really into music, 18, 19, give me some of the albums that was always heavy in your rotation, whether it was a tape deck or whether it was the CD.
For myself?
For yourself.
It's Black Sabbath.
Oh, you're deep. You're
Iron Maiden, Judas Priest.
Iron Maiden. I had the
Dio.
Iron Maiden. I had the Iron Maiden denim jacket. I had Live After Death patch here.
Live After Death, yep.
Live After Death, and I had the Number of the Beast patch on the back of my denim jacket.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, look, I got my Misfits jacket with me today.
Yeah,
I'm still. It didn't. My rotation hasn't changed.
So you're still listening to those albums today?
Oh, absolutely. And the new stuff. I listen to a lot of new stuff.
Because for me, I grew up listening to hip hop. I was a big hip hop.
Yes.
And I loved that. I loved also some alternative music. But I can't listen to those anymore, those old songs, because it's like, how many times have I listened to this same song, same track, same thing?
Sure.
And the thing too is the times have changed so much.
Right. With
technology, the way the whole culture is and everything, that you can't even, I can't even relate. It's like it never happened, in so to speak.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think that that genre of music, that 80s metal or that 70s metal, it's at this point it's almost timeless. I mean, you have when I still go to concerts. I just went to see in September Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. I went to see Megadeth.
Those are real. You're talking. That's real heavy metal stuff.
Oh yeah,
Megadeth is you can't. Yeah, that is banging your head, hair long.
Yeah,
I couldn't get into. That wasn't my whole
my
thing.
hair was down to here.
I could imagine.
Oh yeah.
So, but did you play any instruments too?
I was a singer for, I used to sing at Sundance and, with all the local metal bands, all, jump.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Lead singer?
Lead singer.
Heavy metal?
Heavy metal.
Did you do covers and everything?
Yeah, probably half and half. But some of the bands we did originals with a couple of covers, or some bands with just covers. You kind of jumped, like I said, from band to band, trying different styles. Everybody was getting their music down at that age, 16, 17, 18, It was a lot of fun. It was a great time to do music if you like that music, because that was, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have all these other distractions. So it became a focal point of your day. A lot of times was making music.
And what's sad too is now in 2022, the whole bass, guitar, drum, that whole band, I feel is all obsolete.
Yeah.
And that was really something else.
Trent Reznor, I believe, from 9 Inch Nails. I think he did his last. He's doing a lot of soundtracks now. I think he did the entire thing on his iPhone.
Really?
The entire thing on the virtual band and everything on his iPhone. He didn't have to do anything else besides that.
Things have changed so much, and I think that's sad, because going to the concert or buying that album, those days are over too. See, that was something that I used to love. Right? I would sit in my room, whether it was the tape or it was the CD, and you got the whole album.
Yes.
And you got anywhere from between 1 to 13 to 12 songs on the album. Mm-hmm. And you would just go right through it, and you would say, "Oh, I like that one. Oh, that one's not even on the radio yet.
Right.
Wait until that one comes on the radio." Yeah. And people are like, "Oh, did you hear this song? Oh, I've been listening to that one for months. What are you kidding me? It's on the album."
Right. Yeah, none of my stuff was ever on the radio.
Oh, yeah, no way. You couldn't find yours at all.
I got to tell you, I do love Sirius now, because they do have all those different, channels that are specialized to music that you would never hear on the radio before.
Yeah, Sirius is great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it is actually great. But the thing is you don't have that anymore. You don't have that feeling. Now it's just the song comes out, you download it on your phone. You don't even know what people. I don't even know. They release an album? But you don't. Yeah, but you don't even.
I'll tell you why I know, because my older son Anthony, he just got into vinyl. Like we listen to. When I say I listen to all heavy metal, but I also listen to Steely Dan, Zeppelin, Beatles, stuff like that, and that's what he's heard his entire life.
Driving in the car with you, or whatever.
Yeah. If anybody else is in the car, I'm not allowed to play my music, so you gotta play everybody's music. But anyway, I've been picking him up vinyl. He wanted a regular turntable with a receiver and vinyl, and he's been playing like Steely Dan Asia on vinyl. And it really does have a different sound, and I can't put my finger on it. But
there's just something. It's got that crackling.
There's just something about it that's really pure, and.
Did you used to collect records?
I had some, but I probably was more of a tape guy.
Really?
Yeah, I was probably at the tape time most.
I had a lot of 45s.
45s, yeah.
So it was, in the 80s, I had every single one, and then you would flip it, obviously, to the B-side. You get lucky if you get a good song that's on the B-side as well. Kids these days, they don't know anything about any of that.
Right.
Yeah. So take us back now to going to college. What are you majoring in? What are you doing?
I knew I wanted to be a lawyer right away. It was
really,
yeah.
You went from hold on a second here.
Yeah,
you went from lead singer,
yes,
for a Megadeth kind of band, with the hair down to your, to your tailbone,
yes,
to owning Paradise Records, to jumping into being an attorney,
yes.
So how did you transform? How did that come to about?
I've always been interested in the law and what I thought was being a lawyer at the time, of course, which is very different. But I made.
What did you think it was? You thought you were gonna have a parade and they were gonna down Jericho Turnpike?
Oh yeah,
for you,
yeah. I thought as soon as I got out of law school, they'd be just handing me contracts to sign and start these high-paying jobs.
Yeah.
But that was the impetus. It was what am I going to do to make the most amount of money by going to school? And between doctor and lawyer, I felt like I was more suited for lawyer. So that's the direction that I took. And, summer class with 12 kids in the middle of the hot summer in Suffolk Community College. That was the ultimate plan.
Yeah, but some kids do go the opposite way. Here you are, you said that you were on your own. Right? And you had this vision, you had this, and that's why when people say, "Oh, I come from a bad home," or "I didn't have enough guidance," some people like yourself, you made that decision. Hey, listen, this is not working out. You saw the writing on the wall, which was great because some people might have stuck it out and tried to compete with, say, Tower Records.
Sure.
And then you went into law school, but you have to go to school for 4 years.
Right.
So Suffolk is 2 years.
I kicked butt in school. I wasn't kidding when I said I made that decision. I got out of Suffolk in 3 semesters with my associates. I transferred to Post into their graduate program. So I did my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's in 4 years.
At CW Post?
Yeah.
And then where'd you go to law school?
Hofstra.
Okay. Yeah, I graduated from Post too.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Great school.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. But I didn't think that I was going there to be a lawyer at the time. That was the last thing on my mind. But I did think when I was deciding to be a lawyer that it was going to be a gravy train. And of course, here's the best part about it, right? Listen to how this whole thing plays out here if we really think about it. Because I can only talk to somebody like you who knows.
Right.
Criminal law is basically Paradise Records in 2022 in New York.
Oh, right, exactly.
Right?
Yes,
and Tower Records, because the writing is on the wall for criminal law.
Absolutely.
With the bail reform.
Absolutely.
With these DAs, or should I say the cops not wanting to make any arrests.
Sure.
Right? Everybody's getting legal aid. You get to free attorneys now.
Right. They're decriminalizing a lot of activities that were
marijuana. Forget it. That was a gravy train charge, right? You get a marijuana charge. You knew, as the attorney, I'll be able to get you off at least for the first time. Hands down, no problem.
Absolutely.
And you still need an attorney to go there and do it, even though the law didn't require it. But still, the judge would say you need a lawyer to come back, or if they were underage, the parents would get the lawyer.
Sure.
Now, then that's like maybe $20,000 a year gone from your salary.
Absolutely.
Really think about that.
Yeah.
And I said it probably 2 or 3 years ago to my girlfriend. I said, this practice is done, and that was before COVID.
Right.
And then once COVID came,
it
was completely. It's now. I don't know. You're a Nassau guy, right? You're in Nassau County.
Nassau, Suffolk. Yeah.
Nassau, Suffolk.
But our office is in Nassau.
But in Suffolk County, there's like 5 legal aid attorneys to every courtroom.
Right.
They're like an abundance, and they get legal aid right out of arraignment.
Right.
So here, as a criminal attorney, you're not even getting the first shot at the apple.
Right.
Because they're getting a free attorney right away, and then all that legal aid needs to do because, they're giving away the store basically, and so to speak, unless you have an egregious crime.
Right.
Is, 35 hours of community service and you're going to get a disorderly conduct. You won't have a criminal record, and that's it. So now they have this free attorney. What's the incentive to go out and pay for someone that's going to give you $5,000 when they have a competent legal aid attorney that's telling them?
Sure. And it starts, like you said, right at arraignment, because for lesser crimes, most people know now that they really don't even need an attorney at arraignment. So you don't even get that initial step in where you're able to discuss what's going on, discuss what you're able to do for them, and let them make a decision. They get the legal aid, like you said, right out of the arraignment, and
they're already getting professional, or they're getting already professional, help, or they're not even getting arraigned overnight.
Right.
They're just getting a desk appearance ticket, come back in 5-6 months, and then. It used to be, hey, you're going to spend the night over jail, and you get that phone call from the girlfriend or from the parent.
Right.
Listen, we need you there tomorrow morning.
Right.
Can you be there? Oh, well, you got to give me X, Y, and Z up front. You get the money up front. You go down there. You do the arraignment. And those days are gone. It's like exactly like I said. It's the Tower Records of the law practice.
Yeah.
It's criminal law.
And look at the in the family court. I mean, family court right now is still very much virtual. And it really has impacted not only I think the way that a case proceeds, but also, talking from an income standpoint, you're not in court. So a case that you may be in for an hour and a half or 2 hours, normally in court in the morning, billing, you're doing 15 minutes on virtual. And that's it. It's 15 minutes on virtual.
And what do you think about this? The family court attorneys, who were regular family court attorneys, now have all this influx of attorneys that were criminal attorneys trying to now be a family law attorney.
Yep.
So now, if you had, let's just say at any given time, say there was 5,000 Suffolk County family law attorneys that were on the regular. Now it's like 10,000.
Yep.
Because of all the criminal people saying, well, I got to make income. What's the closest thing that I know how to do as from the criminal law is family law.
Yep. It absolutely is too.
And it absolutely is. And now you have them crossing over.
Right.
So now you have so many attorneys fighting after these one client, right? And it's a disaster.
It is.
And you went from thinking that you know everything, now you have to learn a whole new thing, law.
Right.
And it's a pain in the ass, the family law. Oh, God. I know you said your wife does it. God bless her.
She does the matrimonials, the divorces. I do the regular family court stuff, and I don't mind it. Besides, like we've discussed before, the emotional toll that it can have sometimes, and family court being different from criminal court in that there are two parties involved, which makes it, of course, a lot more heated and a lot more emotional. You're dealing with the family unit or some form of a family unit. That part, it can be a little bit more tolling than the criminal court cases, but I'm starting to get accustomed to them. I've been doing them long before, the pandemic, so family court was starting to become my forte because criminal work was slowing down, like you said, before the pandemic.
It was,
so,
yeah.
I really, and the matrimonials were picking up at such a rate that, Michelle, my partner, she went from handling a lot of the family and the match to really having to be solely matrimonials because they became, after the pandemic or during the pandemic now, the divorces have gone through the roof.
Yeah, because if you think about it, everybody's staying home,
locked together,
and they have to do it. That was what, on the criminal side too, especially like during the winter months.
Yes,
the domestic cases would come. You start getting a lot of domestic because everybody's home. They're locked in together because of the weather, especially here in New York, and they have to now deal with each other. Yep. And next thing you know, you get this domestic case, and there you go. So you always had that, type of influx coming in during the wintertime.
Right.
So here you are. So you go to CW Post, you go to Hofstra. Did you pass the bar exam the first time?
No.
You didn't?
No. I didn't even study the first time.
I got to tell you, it's shocking.
Yeah, actually, Michelle and I graduated together, my wife, and she's my partner in law firm. She studied her butt off the entire time. I said, I'll look through your flashcards. She went to one of the courses and stuff. And
you didn't do the prep course at all?
No, and we were living in a small apartment in Baldwin at the time. So, and I had the computer company. I actually started a computer company while I was, I guess it was like the first year of law school. I was started doing web design and networking and stuff like that. So I was really concentrating on that. She already had a place in the DA's office, in Nassau County DA's office. So she was focusing on that, and I thought, I'm just gonna ace this, and I'll be fine.
Mr. Suffolk Community College whiz.
Suffolk Community College whiz. No, I didn't pass, and it was horrible too because she passed on the first shot, and it was happy and sad at the same time.
How embarrassed were you? Be honest.
I was mortified.
I would be so fucking embarrassed if I'm taking that with my girlfriend.
Yes.
And she passes and I fail.
Yeah.
And not only that, the first thing that first of all, I passed on the first time, but I didn't think I did. I actually, right after the bar exam, I moved to Manhattan and started waiting on tables.
Okay.
And I thought I was going to be this actor. I was going to go into acting because I said, there's no way that I'm going to be able to pass this bar exam. I don't even care. I did it. I went to law school. I'm fine with it. I'll fail. And I'm not taking it again because of the rigor of how rigorous it is to take and study for that exam. You didn't know that, obviously, the first time.
Or the second time.
Oh, you failed the second time?
Yeah.
So you took it 3 times?
3 times. The third time I studied. No, I shouldn't say that. I did a little bit of studying before the second time, but I really was working a business that was really coming up, and I was really making good money at it. So I wanted to pass, I wanted it done, but I didn't put in enough time the second time either.
If you're making money on a business that's up and coming and it's starting to come, you start looking at the bar exam as second nature, so to speak.
Right.
Because it'd be opposite if it was the company's not making anything, or you're working at, say, Whole Food, a grocery store, Stop and Shop overnight just to make you money.
Right.
But what was worse, the first fail?
The first.
It was?
Yeah, the first was. And then when I took it the third time, I actually sat down with Michelle and I said, I'm doing something wrong here. And she said, my multiple choice, I was acing every single time. It was the essay parts of the question. I thought I was doing a good job. And so I did an essay with her, and she said, well, you have to use Iraq. Do you remember Iraq?
Yeah, okay.
I had no idea what she was talking about.
I don't remember.
I didn't go to that class.
Yeah. That was the New York guy that he did all the New York classes, and he did everything in acronyms.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was issue. I don't even remember what it was
Rule,
anymore.
Whatever.
And she said, "Don't write a book.
conclusion.
She said, follow this, write 1 or 2 sentences for each one of these letters, and you'll be done. And I did. I passed it, no problem. I followed her instructions, and I did it right. That actually works for me in life in general.
Yeah. How was it though when you failed the first time, and like, did you have to have a conversation with her and say, listen, I don't want to talk about this anymore, or when she would? I gotta tell you, I'd be so embarrassed. I'm embarrassed just talking about it for you. This is how I am.
I'm not embarrassed though.
No, because I could just picture, right? You. Let's just say you go to a family function.
Yes.
And all her family's there, whatever. So, did you pass? Yeah, I passed. And then, but, Anthony.
Yeah.
He didn't pass. I'd be embarrassed at that moment.
I know. I'm sure that I was embarrassed by it, of course. Especially around family and friends and stuff like that. But I had something really good going with the computer company, and I knew that if I just put in a little bit more effort, I knew it wouldn't be an issue. I really did well in my graduate school and all that stuff. I was a good student.
Well, how did you get from then passing the bar exam? What happened to this computer business?
It was called Osiris Designs, and I stuck with it even after I passed the bar. I didn't start practicing law. So that went from I think I got certified on the bar in 99 to 2000. I graduated in 98, and my wife was working in the DA's office, and I was doing the computer company, Osiris Designs. It was doing so well, and it was such a booming industry.
Especially at that time.
Yeah, at that time
websites.
It was crazy.
That was, that's it. Do you have a website?
Right. It wasn't a website, and I was doing office networking where everybody was really just getting into the idea of the internet and the networking the computers together. And so I was doing a lot of small firms. I did some big firms in Queens. Then I started picking up little areas that I like fire departments. I was doing a lot of fire department systems, and then I was doing law firm systems.
Were you doing HTML?
That was for the web stuff, but I was actually setting up their computers and doing the networks and the wiring and servers and everything.
Yeah.
I had gotten a call.
Just make sure you're talking to.
I'm sorry.
You can move it that. Yeah.
I had gotten a call from a friend of mine. He said, my boss, he works it was a big trucking place. He said he needs a whole new network in here. It's like 30 computers, a server, stuff like. You know how to do that? And I said, yeah, sure. I went to Barnes and Nobles. I bought a Windows NT book. I studied over the weekend, and I went in and gave the guy a price, and that kind of led into the networking end of things, which really was good money. And then around, we had our first son, Anthony, in 2005, so that's when Michelle left the DA's office. She started teaching at Nassau, and I was still doing the computer company. And then around 2007, when our second son, Thomas, was born.
2 sons.
Yeah.
Everything. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah, look at you. I have 1 daughter, and I got to tell you, I wanted that boy so bad. Yeah. It is what it is now when you look back. But is that what you have? 2 sons?
2 sons, yeah.
Oh, it's hook, line, and sinker.
Yep, good boys.
So, what made you then get into? So, like I guess you were going into what made you get into the law then, and then how did the computer company get put to bed? Yeah,
pretty much almost in the exact same way as the record stuff. It really, everything kind of took a dive. A lot of people, because of the economy around, if you remember, around 2007, 2008, the economy was such that a lot of employers were using people in-house now that knew how to do basic stuff. Oh, I can design a website for you. Oh, I can fix that little problem with the computer. So all my service calls started really, really dropping. Other firms, again, the Tower Record effect, the other firms that were small became bigger. They got investors, which I had tried to do at one point, but it just didn't work out. And they got larger and were able to offer different types of service at different prices. And I knew right away it was heading down that road again. So what ended up happening was someone who my wife worked with at Nassau contacted her about a divorce for her boyfriend, and she said, I don't really do divorces. And I said, yes, you can. I said you can do it. It's just try it. I'll do it with you. And that was, I think, around 2009, 2008, 2009. Anyway, it just snowballed into, she did such a wonderful job. We worked together so well. I was kind of behind the scenes. She was in the front.
It's a lot easier doing a divorce case if you have help for the first time.
Sure.
Because it's not some of those complicated ones with the kids, the net worth, all that other stuff that comes into play that is not as easy as you think. The calculations.
Sure.
Then you have to do the child support, the visitation. It's all involved.
Right.
Some of them are, in my, from my experience, because I've dabbled in it too.
Right.
But it's blood money.
Oh yeah.
It is you were saying this before we started the show. It's 24/7.
It's 24/7.
Your phone's always on. You're always billing. You always have to, calling. They're complaining. It really is. It's a lot of work.
It's emotional. It's very emotionally draining. Besides time consuming, it is emotionally draining too.
It's weird too, because here you are. You graduated, say, in 98, 99, you said, and now we're in what year when you first started getting into the law?
Probably almost 2010.
So it's almost 12 years from being in law school. I mean, was it weird then all of a sudden having to jump in that, put on a suit, tie?
Yeah. And I
you
went
had no court experience.
No experience at all.
Which I got to tell you right now, and I'm sure your wife will, agree with me. One of the best things that you could possibly do out of law school is work for the DA's office, because they throw you right there, and you don't really have a client that you have to worry about. You're the state of New York.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and there's somebody there to help you and guide you. And the day one, you're right on the record. I remember the first day, that I ever had. I had this, and he's became one of my best friends at the time.
Right.
He would, he was supposed to train me, and he said, "Okay, so you're good?" And I was like, "What do you mean I'm good?" He goes, "I'll be right back." And he never came back. And I have to tell you, when you first talk in front of a judge for the first time, I mean, it was nerve-wracking for me, because I had no idea the vernacular, what you were supposed to say, and thank God I had some good judges and some good people around me. Even the legal aid attorney would help me out and say, "You got to say this, you got to say that."
The best.
Yeah.
Everybody, I have to say, I agree with you. It really, if you went up in the very beginning, and I wasn't ashamed, I would go up and say, "Listen, this is my first such and such case."
Oh, they love that.
Just give me a and you'd always find somebody or more than one person within the system there that would definitely walk you through, help you out, direct you where you should or shouldn't go with certain things. Really, really a lot of camaraderie at the time. I don't know if it's still the same anymore, but there was at the time a tremendous amount within either the court system and the other attorneys who were there with you.
So you have this now. Now you're doing. I can't believe you sound like me, but you a little bit more successful in the the things that you were doing with the computer, the records.
I'm also
and
a writer, so I might be making a lot of this up.
So that's what I'm saying. So now that's a perfect segue, because that's what I want to get into here.
Right.
Talk to me how because here we go. This is it's a lot of work.
That's blood money.
This right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Dragon Storm.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us how something like this gets created. What's are you driving in your car down? Are you going to Moses Beach, Jones Beach, and you're just driving and you start thinking about certain things in your head, or
the shower? The shower's a great spot for that, right?
yeah, of course. So I do all my talking and conversing.
Yes.
How how did the seed get planted to start this type of novel?
I've been writing stuff my entire life. I've always been a big fan of the supernatural, horror, things like, starting with the Stephen King and the Clive Barker stuff, even back further, H.P. Lovecraft, Poe. Always been really fascinated with things that are scary, whether it be movies, music, everything of that genre I love. I also have a really, really deep passion for archaeology and Egyptology. When I was at Post, I took classes with Dr. Breyer. I don't know if you remember him from Post. He's Mr. Mummy. He's on like National Geographic and stuff. It was really, really a great time at the school. But within that archaeology, I love all the old myths, the legends, all, anything that I can...
Greek mythology, whatever it may be.
All of that stuff. So basically, what I wanted to do, I really wanted to write something of substance. And it originally was an idea... I had been working on some short stories with my kids, like goof around stuff. And I said, I really want to write a story it was going to be for young readers at first, about a group of kids that come together and, investigate and battle supernatural things. And I just sat down one day with some ideas in my head, and I drew out an outline.
So take us through that whole process, right? So, I mean, here's a yellow pad. Did you write on a yellow pad? Did you go on your computer,
pen
laptop?
and paper.
Pen and paper.
I typed the book on the computer, but I love pen and paper.
Did you go to Barnes and Noble and get out a book like you did with the networking? Did you do how to write a novel?
No, I did read a lot. I don't have much time for a lot of reading these days, or even since the kids have been born. But I did read a lot when I had the record stores because had a lot of sitting. I was working so many hours. I read an amazing amount of books that I enjoyed.
So you're talking about Stephen King. I'm a big Stephen King fan. What was the best? Give me like a couple of your favorite Stephen King books.
I like the Bachman books, which has the short stories in it. Do you remember that one?
I did, and I read it, and I didn't enjoy it.
You didn't enjoy it?
I did not enjoy it.
I love Pet Sematary. I love The Shining.
The Shining was my favorite.
Yeah.
That book was, without a doubt, my favorite book.
Yeah.
Misery was great, too.
I love Misery, yeah.
Misery was good, but I went through, I skipped through that whole, because in the book, they have the diary.
Yes.
When she's writing or whatever it was, that little diary, I skipped through that. That was that Love Little Fest thing that I skipped through. But The Shining, for me, it was fantastic. Yeah. Was great, too. But I was a big Stephen King guy.
Yeah.
What else? What other books do you remember that you recall?
That I really liked.
Yeah.
I loved Clive Barker for a while. So he had like the Damnation Game and the Books of Blood, and he started to get a little bit out there, a little bit. I'm not a gore guy, so he kind of started to go in that direction. So I shied away from him a little bit. More recently, I've gotten into, but I haven't really been able to read a lot of them. Is Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. And what they do is they write books within the same. I'm a little bit more supernatural and stuff than they are, but it's a lot of archaeology and adventure that Indiana Jones meets. I always like to say Constantine. I don't know if you've seen the movie Constantine.
I did. That's with what's his name?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, who I think is the worst actor, but the nicest human being.
Yeah. But you got to love John Wick. Come on.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you should watch
You know
that.
what it is? He is such a bad actor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I really, Eric, do you agree? Yeah.
There's a charm about
Wait, did you see Constantine though? Constantine was a great movie.
You have because I can't really hear you.
Sorry.
What'd you say?
Yeah, he's got a charm to him, though.
He does.
He's a great human being because he gives a lot of charity work. He does a lot of things for people, disabled people. I love him. I think he's a great person.
Yeah.
But hey, I tried acting and I couldn't.
Yeah. I've never tried that.
Yeah, and it didn't. Yeah, here I am. so anyway, so let's get back to this book here. So let's get back to this. So
after
you're
I
writing
did an outline, then all I started to do was I did a lot of research because once I got the idea down that I wanted to take this ancient Egyptian papyrus. It's called the Book of Nights, the Book of Gates. It has a couple of different names, and it's more of a coffin text, which means it was put.
Isn't it like a plant? Isn't a papyrus like a plant?
A papyrus, yes, is it's like a sheet of paper that they used to write hieroglyphics on. But the coffin texts were actually put inside the lids and on the coffins of the deceased. It was supposed to be spells to bring them through the 12 hours of night to the other side and to the afterlife. So I like that idea, and I like the idea of breaking that into 12 parts. And what I did with that is I researched and I found 12 locations that I love that are real art. That's the key to when I write. I like to take everything that is real and put a supernatural spin on it. So all my locations are real in the book, all my legends are real in the book. I just take them one step further. So I did about 6 months of research to really nail down the locations that were going to be in the book.
What year is this that you start doing this?
This is before my second son was born, so this was probably 2006.
So what is your wife thinking? Here you are. She's
very, very supportive.
Very supportive.
Oh, my God. It wouldn't have been done if it wasn't for her. I wouldn't have finished.
You're doing this research, I would assume, at night?
Yes.
So
this entire book is written after midnight.
After midnight?
No joke. Yeah, the entire book.
I don't know how you do it. I can't stay past. I mean, now younger, back then maybe I could, but these days, 9:30, and I can't function anymore. But so here you are, you're doing all of this research, you're writing all this down, and it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's something I'm enjoying. It's not the it's almost therapeutic. It really is, because I really do enjoy it.
How did you know because there's different formats, right, to writing a novel, right? There's a person you speak in the person of the one narrator, first person.
Yep.
And then there's other ways of writing. What made you? Did you know about that? Did you have to look into that and say, this is the type of style that I'm going to do? Like, I don't know. Did you read Game of Thrones?
I did not. I watched it.
Okay, you watch it. So, and in that, just as an example, every chapter was a character, and it was in that person. It was in the first person of that, basically of that character.
Oh, I didn't know that. Very nice.
So, to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write, and never have written anything before.
Right.
I mean, you didn't look into that or have it to
No,
say?
it was very organic. I mean, I had written chapters of things that had never gotten finished since I was probably 10 years old. I mean, I have stacks and stacks of material of things that I worked on all my life, but never really sat down and said, I'm going to finish this and I'm going to do it. It was. I would have to say, in that part of it, I really didn't think about it. It just was the way that it came out. It was the way I probably wouldn't have thought about writing from a first-person perspective in this particular type of story, because I feel like unless you did something like that where you broke up the chapters, I wouldn't be able to get the ideas and views across without having that magnifying glass, that microscope, looking from above down on everyone and the interactions and the dialogue and all those type of things. I don't think it would have worked that way. So I really didn't think about it. I just kind of started writing. You know what I mean?
A lot of I listen to a lot of motivational audiobooks. I read a lot of motivation, and they always say you gotta just sit down. Like if you want to write a book, right? You gotta sit down and you actually just have to do it. Because so many times, and this is why I was talking to you about before, how long were you letting this thing marinate in your, were you driving, you're in the shower?
Always.
Did you always say, I gotta get to it, I gotta get to it, I gotta get to it?
Right.
Talk to me about the first sit down when you actually said, I don't think you wrote this book shorthand, did you?
No, that's all on laptop.
On laptop, yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me about when you finally said, F this, I'm done with all this. I'm not going to just keep talking about it in my head. I'm doing all this research. I'm going to actually tonight sit down. Is that something that you remember as an author? That you remember that moment, that time that you actually did?
I do, actually.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah, I think when I sat down, I probably had gotten to that spot a couple of nights in a row and went, I'm tired, I'll do it tomorrow or whatever. But I really had outlined such a thing, such a plan in my head that I really felt comfortable that I was going to be able to do this to completion, and I wanted to do it. So the first few lines that I typed out, it's funny, I was watching, and I really enjoyed the show, and you're going to think it's corny, Castle. Do you remember Castle that was on TV?
Castle.
It was a cop show, and the female cop in the show was Kate.
I remember. I heard of it.
It was Kate. So I just watched the show.
Can you put that up there? I just want to see what it is. Castle. Go ahead.
And I just grabbed the name because it was the name, and I just said, you know what? I'm just going to start using certain names just so I can get something flowing. And everybody's name ended up sticking. I think that I was just pulling names out to just get a basic thing done. And I started to write, and I wrote a couple of sentences. And then it really, Castle, yeah, it was a great show. It was. I like a little bit of banter and romantic back and forth between the male and female characters in the story, which I do a lot of in there. And this really had a lot of that in it. It wasn't a great crime show. It was a fun show as far as relationships go, I think.
When you're writing this outline, right? Can you is that very important? Would that be the advice you would give to someone that wants to start and write a novel? First, have a blueprint of what you want. And what does that outline consist of? Does it consist of characters and how they interact with each other? Can you explain how you process?
And I'm sure it's very different for a lot of people. My main thing that I wanted outlined was the beginning and the end of the story, which, by the way, the end changed. But I just wanted some format of how the story was going to flow and what I needed to achieve in a certain amount of time, which obviously I would have liked it to be a little bit shorter, but I couldn't cut any more out. I did cut some out. So I just wanted to have a game plan from beginning to end with some main ideas, some of the locations that I was going to work with, and my main character, which was Alexander Storm.
Right?
Yeah. What I wanted to do from there was just kind of see how it would roll. Now, like I said, when I originally started writing this, it was for young readers. So when
you say young readers,
teens, teen, like that Twilight. It was, Twilight was kind of hot at the time, and it was, there were a lot of young reader books coming out that were really making a lot of
Harry Potter,
right? With great books. So I was shooting for that audience at first, and then it quickly evolved into an adult book. But that first night of sitting down, I started to write, and it just flowed. I had been thinking about it for so long. And it's almost like sometimes someone else is writing. I tell people that sometimes. That's why I say sometimes I don't remember even writing what I wrote the night before. It almost becomes its own flow of things coming out. And luckily for me, I mean, because I know for a lot of people it doesn't. It just went. It just kept going. But that first night, I was really satisfied. I think I did 3 chapters in that first night, and I introduced 3 different characters. And
three chapters for the first time. And what is that? That's got to be 4 or 5 hours, no?
Yeah,
6 hours?
Yeah, probably about 4 hours.
So when you do that, right, did you sit down after that and say, hey, Michelle's your wife's name, right? Did you say, Michelle, can you take a look at this? Or was that something
Absolutely.
you didn't? Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And she would go, give me more first, and then I'll read it. But she had my biggest fan, and she's an avid reader of this type of material, too. So she really has been critiquing me and giving me ideas and, pushing me along the entire time, or else it really wouldn't have gotten done. At some point, after so many years to reach the end, she's like, you got to finish it. It's awesome.
Why? How long did it take you to finish this?
There would be big breaks in between, so I may go 4 months where I didn't write a word, or
Why though?
There's so much going on. I had a newborn son. I had a 2-year-old son. We were just starting a law firm. You're talking about a lot. I didn't finish until 2019, so I started in 2006, beginning of 2007, finished in 2019.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's funny though. Didn't you go back and say, well, this doesn't really make sense anymore, or does this here? The times have changed.
I had some plot holes that were major plot holes that I needed to fix because I didn't remember in 2015 something that I had written in 2010. Honestly, I just didn't remember anymore certain details that ended up becoming important that needed to be changed.
Because that could become then, your life work is editing the whole thing.
Right.
You're just constantly going back because you're taking such big breaks.
Right.
That then, after reading it, you're like, or you might have better ideas, as the time goes.
I think one major thing that occurred is after writing for all those years, my writing got better. So when I went back and I read, let's say, the first 10 or 12 chapters, I needed to change the writing style. I just didn't like it. Some of it stayed the same, but some of it I cleaned up. And because when you write for that long, you start to pick up a certain style and you start to learn certain things that work and don't work. And when you first started really putting your pen to a job like this, you didn't realize at first. You just want to get started. You just want to get moving. And the only way to tackle this is not to go back and proofread what I did the day before or the week before, is just keep writing to the end and then go back and do what I have to do afterwards. And then we had COVID. So I had the entire summer of 2020 to really do some in-depth, rewrites, editing. I mean, I would do it every morning, no more nights. I would do it in the morning before our work started because we were working from home. Everything was virtual. And it took me about a month and a half, 2 months to do the edits.
It's crazy when you say COVID, then COVID happens, because for the rest of our lives, we'll always be talking about that period of time. And
yes.
Some people hated the lockdowns, because of what it did to businesses. Obviously I did too, and it affected my business.
Sure.
Affected everyone's business, to be honest with you. But there was also something that was great about it, that you were at home. You couldn't, there's nothing to do outside, right? And you actually got to spend time with your family, your kids. Like my daughter came home, she goes to away to college. She was home. And you knew no matter what, because there's a lot of anxiety when you're missing out, or I have to go out and I got to get, I got to go to court. Everything was shut down.
Everything was shut down.
And then there was this calm in your life that you didn't think that you would ever experience again, unless maybe you retire and you're down in Boca.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then that's the end of it. But I kind of enjoyed it.
Yes.
And, just hearing you saying that gave you the opportunity to write your book, it gave an opportunity for a lot of things in people's lives.
Yes.
And you took advantage of that. A lot of people, they went into a shell. A lot of people got depressed. A lot of people resorted to drugs. But here you are, you said, I'm going to take this opportunity to finish this book and do that. My question for you, though, is, did you, when you're writing this book and going through the years, right, and you're aging as you're doing it too, and you're becoming, somebody else, right? You're not the same person
Absolutely.
you were in 2008.
Right.
I mean, did you think to yourself, I'm never going to be able to finish this because I keep rewriting it and I keep changing it? And especially the main character. So it's Alexander Storm, right?
Yes.
Who was that character? Does that have anything to you? I always think about if I'm going to write a book and I'm going to have a main character, that main character is going to have something that I either think of myself or who I want myself to be.
Yes.
Did you do that at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that probably, and we joke about it at home, every male character has some quirk or quality of me in it, and every female quality has some quirk or quality of my wife in it, because there's nothing easier to write than what you know. And if you have life stories and life things going on that work, that are interesting to people, it's very easy to just write what you know. And a lot of what occurs in the book is just, plays on things from real life. And it really does endear you to the characters. I mean, at some point in all those years of writing, each character took on a voice that, like you said, they would almost like talk to you in your head, because you would go long periods of time without writing them, and you had to write. You had to get it done. It became almost like a weight that needed to be lifted off. You have to finish it now.
It's almost like creating Frankenstein.
Yeah,
right?
you brought all these people to life, and whether anybody ever reads this book or not, it has to finish. I have to finish their thoughts, their ideas, and what needs to be done. And it's it's an internal thing, and it doesn't really affect anyone else, but it does affect you, especially when you invested so much time in it. It became something that was a necessity to finish. I had to finish.
So talk to me about that day, right?
Oh.
The day that you say, you shut the laptop down and say,
that day I remember perfectly.
So give us a little
that
synopsis.
was I think it was May, and that was probably 2019 May. And I had a bottle of Dom in the fridge, in the freezer downstairs, that I had saved for probably 2 or 3 years
for this moment.
For this moment. It was about 4:30 in the morning, and I went downstairs. I grabbed it and I popped it, and woke up my wife, and I handed her the glass, and we both did that, and yeah, it was done.
That was it. So look at you. You're emotional with it.
Oh, it's 13 years, man. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. So this is your baby.
Yeah.
This is it right here.
Yeah.
So now, give us, before you talk about the distribution of a book, right? Because I'm interested in knowing about that. Tell us about the book.
Okay.
Give us, your version of...
My version of the take on the book?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what it is a very enigmatic character, Alexander Storm. We don't know too much about him. He's a rather mysterious character. Now, this is set to be a series of books. I'm about halfway through the second one already. It's coming a lot quicker.
You're torturing yourself.
Yes, I am. His background is not really known, but he's somehow involved with battling the supernatural, battling the evil in the world. He's very wealthy.
Almost like X-Files-ish.
Yeah.
Like the character, what's his first name? I forgot.
Mulder.
Mulder, yeah.
Or Constantine. Constantine, he's a mix between like a Constantine and Pendergrass from the Preston Child novels, but he's more of he's going to develop throughout the books. You don't know all about him right now. And he's very wealthy. He lives in a castle off the island. And he goes about bringing together a group of young people because there's something stirring. There's something going on. And he brings very interesting characters from all over the country.
When you say something's going on?
He's catching on the wire that there's some issue, that there's a danger to mankind, to the well-being of mankind, and it's pure evil. I'm talking it's demons, but demons personified. They're not horned and those kind of things. They're very seductive. One female demon and one male demon. It's not dragons and monsters in that sense. There are creatures in here, but a lot of it is more done from a personal, a personified standpoint. So he brings together these group of people. He has some people that work for him, like Decker, who's like an Indiana Jones. So all this group of people assemble together, and he knows about the 12 hours of the night, and he knows that the riddle, there are a set of riddles out there, and the riddles need to be solved in order to find the locations of the 12 hours. So he brings together, and I think that when you read the book, or if someone has read the book, he probably didn't really need them to do what he achieved. So there was some sense of creating an organization that could move forward going forward. Maybe he didn't really need them for this particular task, but I think that's something that was kind of left to the imagination with it. So then you have these two demons who are trying to get the Book of Gates too. And if you can assemble the Book of Gates, you can open the gates to the underworld, essentially open the gates to hell and unleash hell on earth. So it's a battle of time and wits back and forth to all these, they're in Egypt, they're in Jordan, Petra. They go to Oak Island, to the Money Pit Island. I'm trying to think where else.
That's a lot of research that you have to do with that, right?
Yeah,
you have to
there's about 6 months of archaeological-based and legend-based research before I even started writing. That's what I say. That was my outline. My outline was more about those type of things. I mean, I can't travel to Egypt to, find details that I want to use in the story about the Sphinx or the pyramid. So it was research. It was looking at images. It was creating sketches and stuff. To be able to give at least as much detail as to not make it boring, but to make it a rich experience for the reader. So basically, it is a race against time to find these hours of the night, and all along the, I don't want to give too much away, but all along the way, the demons are winning. Of course, because they're demons and they're evil, and Alexander and everyone with him are just normal humans.
So now you're talking about what we said before. I want to just bring this up. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about all the characters, right?
Yes.
And he has these two demons. Mm-hmm. Some of that demonic characterization of these individuals, is that some things that you think that are through you as well?
Oh, sure. There's personality traits that I'm serious.
Because you have to be humble in that, and then and say this has.
Sure. I think that when I wrote the characters, I wasn't really looking outside. I was always looking inward to what was going on inside, or what was going on with my family, and some of the characteristics that were part of every single male or female character in the book came from some quality or some, not demonic, of course, but whether it be a charismatic quality that maybe I thought I had, or something that I had said, or something that I could use in dialogue, or something that I heard that I could use in dialogue. Everything has some portion of that from who you are. I mean, I don't know if that's the same for all writers, but I think a lot of writers, when they're writing characters like this, it's very easy to embellish things that they either like or dislike about themselves into the characters that they're writing, and it's definitely part of the therapeutic portion of writing.
How long did it take you to come up with the title, The Dragon Storm? Was it something that you came going back and forth with, or was it something like this?
It started out as the Phantom League, and it was the Phantom League when I was writing for young readers, and it was too quirky for me, and I like corny, but it was too corny. His castle, Alexander's castle, is called Dragonlock Castle, and it's Alexander's Storm. So again, it was kind of organic. The Dragon Storm, it was the title of the book, but it also maybe ended up being the group of people that he had brought together were the Dragon Storm. So that's, and then the way I'm doing it in the books is it's the Dragon Storm, and then this one is Gates, which is written there on the side of them. And then the next one I'm working on is called Abracadabra, which actually I found this shirt that's got the Abracadabra symbol on it, which is about magic, the next one.
And Alexander Storm can continue its character that's going to go in through these trilogies or whatever it may be that you're going to
and the
create.
people he put together are back. It picks up a couple of months after the end of this story and just kind of flows right through it. And I have a couple of side stories planned out from some of the characters that are in the book. Jericho, who's he's an adventurer now, a treasure hunter, but he was a New York City homicide detective. I have a whole set of side stories for him from when he met Alexander Storm.
There's your website right there.
Yeah, so that's the new one that's kind of that I'm almost about halfway done with Abracadabras. And these are all, I have all these outlined already. So
these are books that are not written yet.
Not written, but outlined.
That's the outline.
Yep.
And you said you didn't read the Game of Thrones book.
I didn't.
Okay, in this book, is there dragons in this book?
There are no no. There is a serpent in Mexico, which is a part of Chichen Itza. I guess he could be a dragon, but he's a stone. I don't know if you're familiar with the light shift in Chichen Itza.
No.
Yeah, you can actually see the stairs. They look like a moving serpent. Without I give away, the serpent comes to life on the pyramid when they're there. So, but no, there are no dragons.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is because people loved in Game of Thrones the
Right.
whole dragon thing.
Right.
So I see the title here, and I thought maybe that there was.
Well, there is a reason why the castle is called Dragon Lock, but it just hasn't come out yet. It is planned for something there.
So talk to me about the distribution of this. So now you have it; it's done.
Yeah.
You give it to your wife. She reads the whole thing.
Yes.
She gives her consent, her blessing,
Her
so to
blessing.
speak.
Yes.
Right? Did you give it to any of your friends or anything like that?
I gave it to my mother-in-law is an avid reader. I gave it to my brother-in-law, who's huge. Everything that I love, he loves the same kind of stuff. He's read it a couple of times. I read it pre-edit. He just finished it up after the edit. I gave it to a couple of different family members.
You got
to read.
positive feedback, obviously, back?
I got great feedback all through the years. I was giving out certain parts. So it's broken up into 2 books within there because it's so long. I think I handed out the first book to probably about 10 people and got really, outrageous feedback. But it's family and friends, and it's difficult to get
The
confident.
bias.
It's difficult to get the confidence that you need to really push you. But it was there. It was there. It was all me that was delaying,
So what do you do then? So now you have this book that's done. It's on a laptop,
Yep.
right? So how do you get it into the distribution? How does it go from the laptop into a hardcover book?
I had no idea. And this was the hardest. This was harder than writing the book. It was figuring out how to do it. First of all, it's almost impossible. I did a little bit of research. It's impossible to get a literary agent or a publisher unless you know somebody on your first book.
So how did you do? Like, what do you mean? Just why is it?
Because
Give me
there
the
are
trials
so
and tribulations
so
of
many
that.
people are writing and publishing books now as a product of Amazon. It's very difficult to catch anyone's eye unless the big thing that everyone says, and I think it works for a lot of the industries now, is you have to build a following. So rather than petitioning publishers and literary agents to start with, I decided I'm going to get this out there. I'm going to use my web design skills. I'm going to starting to learn how to use the social media properly. Doing the fairs, doing the this, doing the that, making my own promotional material, get some kind of a following, and then I'm in a better position than to approach a publisher or a literary agent. So basically the way it started was I had to use an Apple because Microsoft doesn't have any program that really does an excellent job in converting Word into an ebook format. So I used a program on Apple on a Mac. And I learned how to do it. I learned how to make the cover. I have a lot of experience.
You did this
with
all on your own. So this is
all on my own.
This is nothing. There's no. So you're not signed with a literary
not.
agent. You're not. You didn't have a publishing company publish these books.
Nope.
These are all done on your own.
Everything is done on my own. Every single bit of merchandising, everything I did it on my own.
How much, if you don't mind me asking, does a book like this take? I mean, is this something that you're really spending a lot of money on and
I
investing?
don't pay for the book. It's called print-on-demand services. So once I design the book, I upload everything, I get approval from the company. Like even Barnes & Noble is doing this now. It's print-on-demand. So if somebody orders the book, they print it and they give me the royalties from it. I don't have to lay out
so you're
any
not
money.
buying
I don't have to buy
10,000
it.
books.
Nope.
And then making it sit there and then hoping that somebody's going
Not
to
at
buy
all.
the book.
Not at all.
That's interesting. I never knew about that.
Yes.
So what stage are you at right now? You're just right now, and how we met, for people that don't know, I saw you in Farmingdale, New York.
Yes.
Actually on a street fair.
Yes.
On the side there selling the book.
Yes.
Okay, which I thought was great. That's how, we introduced to each other. But what's the next steps though for you? Because here you are. There's a lot of
Yes.
like you said, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into this book. You would want to see it out there. Can you buy the book on Amazon?
Oh yeah, and I've got really great sales, and I just broke 40 reviews, which is pretty decent. There's several million books on Amazon.
How do you break 40 reviews, meaning 40 people actually read the book and then independent that you don't even know who they are,
and rated the book and wrote. I have 40 written reviews on Amazon, which is.
Can you get to that? Can you get to the Amazon?
Yeah.
Let's see some of these.
I hope nobody
reviews
posted.
here. Let's see what we
nobody
got
posted
here.
a bad one in the last 12 hours since I. No,
let's
actually,
see what we got here.
I've got it's pretty much 5 stars across the board. I really.
How
really,
nerve-wracking
really,
is it for you?
Totally.
That you put the book out there and then I'm sure you probably get notified some way or somehow that a review comes in, right? You get notified. I mean, it's got to be nerve-wracking.
It is.
Right? To
And I didn't think it was going to be. I thought once I was done, that was going to be it, and I wasn't. Whatever happened, happened. But no, now I really care.
How's that? Tell me about that feeling. Tell me about, here you are.
Yeah.
You start this so long ago.
Yeah.
You finally complete it. and there's actually someone else that's not your brother-in-law, it's not your, your wife,
Right.
that actually said, "Oh, okay, let me see what I can. Let's see what this is about."
It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling. It really is. That all that work and all those ideas that you thought were good, other people are actually enjoying and like.
There's no way I'm going to read that. Is there any way that? Is that what we got here?
If you go to the very top, it just shows you. I think there should be like 40 reviews and 41.
Say they were well-written reviews.
They're well-written reviews. Okay, here we go. Let me put my glasses on here. Hold on a second. There's no way.
I didn't bring mine.
There's no way I can read. There we go. Here we go. It's superb. Let's go up to the top there. Let's see that one here. So, who is this by? This is by Piaris. Is that your wife?
No.
By a superbly written, richly descriptive novel, brilliantly drawn characters and settings. The thread of storytelling are expertly woven into supernatural thriller. Let's go down a little more here. There we go, right there. The traveling world to save it. I could not put this book down. I mean, there is nothing better in a review than you have somebody says that opening sentence.
Yep.
I could not put this book down.
Because it is a long book. I'm not going to lie.
Well, not only that, though, too, you've read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Right? I have not read a book like this long in a while. It was worth it. You are following Alex Storm. The story is set in the time zone. A book of Gates was broken into 12 books. Then we go down. Fantastic book. Very smartly written. Very easy to read. It's another thing that you want. Easy to read. No one wants to read a difficult book because what do you do with a difficult book?
Right.
You put it down. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be very, that's
satisfying.
the satisfaction
I
of
got
something
one
like
I
that.
put on that bag of goodies that I had.
What here? The coffee mug?
No, the review was this writer's on par with King. That was probably my favorite review. That's why I'm putting it. I put it on my print stuff.
I got to tell you right now, that's the crown jewel of compliments.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Or if he said, a John Grissom type thing. But to me, Stephen King, as liberally as he is, and I can't stand him for his out of works. We won't get into that.
But how many artists are like that, though? Right?
Yeah.
but you got to love their work, though.
Say
right?
Stephen King, he's on the level of that. That is something else.
Yeah.
That makes you go home, and when your wife wants to buy some stuff, okay, you got it, whatever you want.
Yeah.
We're going to Tellers. That's it. Here we go. We're on our way. Is this something, though, writing that you want to be able to do full time?
I would
now
like
that
to
your wife
stop
has
being a
blown
lawyer.
up your divorce, and you could now basically live off of her riches.
She wants to live off of this. Come on, she's done with that.
Yeah,
already.
I know, right? Yeah, she's probably sitting there saying, "Get to writing. Don't come into. Why are you in bed? You supposed to
I
be."
write in bed. Oh,
you do? Okay, okay.
But yes, that's our dream. Is it's written. It's very easy to translate this into a Netflix series, into a screenplay. It definitely has that potential. The short cliffhanger chapters. It moves very quick at the screenplay. I mean, that's our dream. Both of us would like to stop practicing and,
But
she
now-
can play tennis all day and I can, write all day. That would be a dream.
How do you get this in the hands of an agent, though? What do you got to do now?
I actually have some really good lists of literary agents. I'm a member of the Horror Writers Association now. Woo! You can't get in unless you actually write something. And they give you a list of literary agents who are kind to this type of material. And now I think I'm going to, I have a query letter, which is the letter that introduces, you and the writing and stuff, which actually, I couldn't write it. I can write 1,000,000 pages in this, but I couldn't write a letter like that for some reason, from myself. So Michelle said to me one day, she said, just write it like Alexander Storm. You can write Alexander Storm all day. So I actually wrote the query letter to the publisher and literary agent as Alexander Storm. And if you need to find out any more information, contact my scribe.
That's genius. I like that.
Yeah. It worked out great.
What about audiobook? Did you think about doing that yet?
I did. That's actually a very expensive, unless
venture?
you want to do it for me.
Yeah.
You want to do your voice?
I'll do my voice. Yeah, I'll do the voiceover. But geez, I mean, that's a big book. But that is expensive to do that. I don't know anything about that.
And I've looked at software. It's not natural enough. And like you said, it is a big book. Because it's a big book, you're looking at probably about 25 or 30 grand to convert it into audiobook.
But
just for the voiceover.
But that's what people are doing these days.
I know. Don't you hate that?
Yeah, that's what people are doing these days. I listen to audiobooks.
Right.
I do both.
Right,
because if a book's a little too complicated, because if I'm listening to a book at the gym, if I'm going to I can't do this. I have to read this type of book.
Right.
I could listen to podcasts or I can listen to, soft things. But if you have character development
Right.
and you're listening to it, say at the gym or you're cutting your lawn or you're shoveling the snow, I tend to always have to rewind it because I get lost in what I'm doing, and then you have to deal with it.
I'm a very slow reader, believe it or not. I'm a very slow reader. And part of the reason I'm a slow reader is because, especially like you said with this kind of book, I may read it and then I may go back and read a couple of sentences over again. I want to make sure I'm getting the idea, or like you said, I didn't miss something, or is there a deeper meaning here? Or I just like the sentence. I'm going back to read it again. And you can't do that on the audio. I mean, audio's great. I'm not against that at all. I do like to read a book though. Like even on my iPad, I'll read all the journal. Like I'll read the archaeology journal, I'll read the supernatural journal, I'll read the law journal, all that kind of stuff on the iPad. But when it comes to an actual book, I want the actual book in my hands.
Yeah,
so.
I understand. What I like about the iPad though is you could look up words.
Oh
instantly.
yeah, while you're working on it. Yeah, while you're reading it.
If there's some type of vocabulary that I'm not familiar with or something like that,
Right.
Or like you're talking about Egypt and stuff, archaeology stuff, things.
Right.
To me, then I could easily click it. It takes you right to Wikipedia. It takes you right to whatever. You can figure it out. Then you get lost, though.
Right. Then you go off on a tangent. But
Then
that's
you go
good too.
tangent, yeah.
But that's good too, because you know what? If a writer puts stuff like that in their book, they actually want you to do that. I want people to look at these places. They're beautiful locations. They're amazing. Some of them are not well known, and it's beautiful history, and it's all amazing archaeology and development of our world. So
how do people? So here's the book again. The Dragon Storm.
Yes.
Right. And what's it on the side here? Gates.
Gates is the title of this one.
Gates. Okay, Gates is the title, but a Dragon Storm would be the
series.
The series.
Yes.
Okay, like Game of Thrones.
Right.
Okay, so this is Gates. How do people get the website? What is the website, and how do people, if they wanted to buy this book, just give us some ways that they're able to get onto the website and stuff like that?
They can go. Amazon's got it. So if you just type in either my name, Anthony DiPaolo, or the Dragon Storm, it will pop up.
Anthony DiPaolo, not the attorney.
Yes, not
the
author.
author.
The attorney, the author. Yeah.
What sounds better to you?
Author.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Not the Paradise Records owner.
No.
The author.
The author works.
All right, so go ahead, continue.
Or my website is dragonstormnovel.com.
That's the website.
That's my personal website where it's got links to all the other things. You can get it on Apple.
The Dragon Storm, or is it Dragon Storm?
It's dragonstormnovel.com is the website.
Okay.
You're gonna make me check now because I forget.
Well, it's right there. What is it right there? It's dragonstormnovel.com.
The only reason I had to check, I originally registered a while ago a different address, which was the Dragonstorm, but I used my email. But the actual website is dragonstormnovel.com.
What would be, before we conclude here, what would be the ultimate thing for this book? Is it a Netflix series?
I would love that. Yeah.
Is it something like that? So somebody's actually going to bring the characters to life?
Yeah, I would really love that.
So the next question is, who would you want?
Oh, you're not going to like my answer.
Alexander Storm.
Originally, I had liked Keanu Reeves. And the only reason I did, but you got to remember how long ago I wrote this. It was Constantine, and he was the lead character in Constantine, and I liked the persona that he portrayed in that role. Now I'm not really sure. I have really, really solid ideas for a lot of the other characters.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Nah.
You're not a Leo fan?
Nah, I am, but I don't think he will work. This is more like a I don't know who the actor who plays Loki is. It's more of a stature type of thing. I think with the character, I like for Decker. I definitely like Matthew McConaughey.
He's the best.
Idris Albus for Jericho, I think, is a great character. I was actually thinking of his a lot of his characters when I was writing that character. There's some ideas in mind for certain things, but even like for the main female character, which is Kate, I think in my mind it was the girl from Twilight at the time. Like, because you try to picture an
What's her name again? Kristen
Stewart. Right.
Stewart, yeah.
But times have changed. It's not the same character, that I would have thought of 13 years ago. But you do that when you're writing. Again, you're things that characters.
You have envision in your head.
Yeah, because you have to work off something when you're doing things like that. So I don't really know who right now. I think I should play Alexander Storm.
What about you? Yeah, of course, it's you. That's who it is. It's Anthony DiPaolo.
Right.
What are you on social media? What about your social media platforms?
Yes, and I don't think I know them all. No, it's at Dragonstorm Novel on Facebook, and I think the handle on the Twitter is there it
is.
Yeah, that's it.
Dragonstorm Book at Dragonstorm book,
Thank
right?
you.
And that's on Twitter. But now listen to me. We got to get, are you active on these things? Because it's really, that's, because if you're
I
at
am
where you're
trying,
at,
yeah.
that's, and I'm not saying that, don't think that I'm taking, because I'm in the same boat with the show.
Right.
It's a full-time job.
Right.
You're always selling. You're always trying to get people to follow you. Like you said, you have to get this certain amount of following to get this book in the hands of an agent.
Right.
So, are you, is that something that you're actively doing, or is that something that you're going to have to start doing?
I have been actively doing the Facebook posts and the web stuff, and now I'm slowly merging into. I wasn't too familiar with the Twitter and the Instagram, but my family's helping me out with just. I mean, I'm a tech guy. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but I'm doing it, and I understand how to do it. It's time consuming though. It is. Before I did a couple of giveaways for the holidays, just doing the creative for them. Getting them posted, running, I ran a couple of ads on Facebook and stuff like that, which were very productive. I'm not going to lie. They're super, super productive.
But they're expensive too.
They're expensive and they're time consuming.
Think about, real quick though, that's the business, right? You own Facebook. You don't have any inventory.
Right.
You're going to pay me so I can, in my algorithm, put your little post in the eyes of people that are just going to scroll down. So you don't have a warehouse.
Nope.
You're not, storing anything. Cannot be a better or more genius business model.
It's unbelievable.
Than what, say, Google or Alphabet or what Facebook does.
Yep.
Right? You pay them. It comes instantly out. You have no idea who's seeing it or not.
Yeah.
They just give you impressions.
Right.
And the next thing you know, there's $50 out of your account.
Right.
There's $100 out of your account.
Yep.
And it's like that.
Right.
And you're just hoping that you get some feedback. Trust me, I know, because I put my show and you advertise.
Right.
And you put it on there, and sometimes I'll get, who's wasting my Facebook feed, and who's doing this with this, this Republican nonsense or whatever it is, whatever they're saying.
Right.
But I look at Facebook. Next thing you know, my credit card has for the month $600, $1,000.
I know.
And I may have 3 more followers.
Right.
So I paid literally $333 for one follower to get one new follower. But it goes like this.
It goes like that. I have a better gauge because of sales. You know what I mean? So I definitely have big spikes in sales when I run the advertisements. I've really narrowed down my keywords for the searches like really well, I think. And I picked regions wherever there's English speaking. I picked a region.
What is that? Your glamour shot to Massapequa Mall?
Yeah, no, I think that was like we were in like the Bahamas. And I got a nice tan, so I took the shot. That was my.
It looks like an author, though.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
That doesn't look like
an author picture.
It does. Doesn't look like the Megadeth guy.
No, not the Megadeth guy.
No, definitely.
Well, I mean, if you've seen them lately, they look just like that now. Come on, we're old.
Yeah, it's true, right? You see the guy in Metallica, all of them. Yeah, absolutely.
They look great, though. I think they all look great.
Yeah, God bless them all.
That, right?
All right, so here we are. We got the Dragon Storm.
Yes, sir.
Again, what's the website again, just so we know?
You testing me? Or
I forgot it. It's dragonstormnovel.com.
Yeah.
And here's the book by Anthony DiPaolo. So make sure that you go out and you get this book. You're a great guy. You're a great guest, a humble guy. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Yep.
And when I get 3 months to read this thing, I definitely have you come back. We'll have you come back. I have this on my list. Don't worry about it. Right, actually, it's on my nightstand.
Yeah.
My girlfriend said, when are you going to read this? I got this book I'm reading right now. I got this I got to do. Then I go on these up and down.
I will promise you this. If you start it and it's your thing, you like the content, it will run a lot faster than you think it was. They're short James Patterson chapters.
But I will say this either, and I didn't know, and thank God that you said this, because I'm going to now buy it on, I have to read it on Kindle because I have to have the font a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Because of my eyes, I start getting, I start getting headaches, even with my glasses on, whatever. But I'll do it. I'll read it. I'll let you know. I'll give you, because I'm a big reader. I love reading books. I read 2 or 3 books at a time. So I'll do it. But I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And with that being said, another edition of the Joe Cozzo. Make sure, again, the Dragon Storm. And we will be back. Oh, you can look right into there. There you are. There's your camera. And again, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, brother.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, but that wraps it up for another edition of the Joe Cozzo Show.